Oh boy, do I have a doozy for you today. Hi and welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben and this is my review for Netflix's recently bought, so now it's a Netflix original movie, The Last Days of American Crime. In the not too distant future, as a final response to terrorism and crime, the US government plans to broadcast a signal making it impossible for anyone to knowingly commit unlawful acts. So this film is directed by Olivier Megaton, who directed Transporter 3, Taken 2 and 3, and Columbina? And a cancelled TV series, Brooklyn Taxi, I believe. So it kind of gives you an idea of the direction of this film. The first thing I need to say about this film is that it has no right to being as bad as it is. The casts in this are pretty good. You have Michael Pitt, Sharlto Copley, Édgar Ramírez, to name but a few. But one of the film's biggest weaknesses, I have to say straight from the beginning, is that it's 2 hours and 48 minutes long. This is an action film, kind of, and it needs to be cut down by at least an hour and 20 minutes. And I'm not even joking about that. I went back after I watched this film, went to the hour and 33 minute mark, I think, and I was, this is the point where I was coming to the film thinking, I think it's ending now. And then it doesn't fade to black, but there's the next scene. I was like, oh, I'm sure it's ending now. And then I thought, oh, this is the end scene, right? And then you pause and you see you have another hour and you're like, what on earth is this film? That is the point which I feel like you should start watching the movie. And I feel like you could get away with it, because if you watched it, it just places you in the film. You kind of have to figure out what's going on. You know it's a giant heist to beat the clock, and that in itself is a great premise. You know, you don't want to be controlled by the government, so you want to take the government down. At the same time, you're doing the biggest heist of all time. At the same time, there's this relationship that they're trying to say that these guys have fallen in love in such a short time. At the same time, there's betrayal and revenge. She's got all the makings of a good story. The problem is it's really drawn out, and some of the scenes are just so not believable. You don't believe the character interactions right from the opening. You'll be like, what is this? What is happening? I don't believe that would work. I don't believe that would happen. I don't believe the characters' motivations. And then it comes down to the acting. For the most part, it's okay, but there's some moments that is just really terrible delivery of script. So I don't know if it's so much the actor's fault or whether it's the direction that was given to the actors to deliver some of the driest dialogue I've ever seen in an action film. That's not to say there isn't good action sequences in this. There are some really great crashes and explosions. I think like that sort of parts of the film when there is a bit of action going. There's a lot of gunplay, which is, you know, you come to expect a certain, I guess, expertise when it comes to gunplay now with films. There are loads better than what we have in here, and it did remind me a little bit of Shoot 'Em Up, but that again is a loads better action film, much more entertaining and has far better pace. This film goes up and down, up and down. There are massively underused actors in here. Sharlto Copley is a fantastic actor, and he has such great presence when directed properly. All you have to do is go watch District 9 or some of the other ones that he's been in. And you know, when he's given a meaty script to use, then you will love his character. But in this, he just feels like that generic character, and that for the most part is the problem with all the characters. You have generic son who's a generic mafia son bad guy who with daddy issues, and he's the crazy guy. And you have great actors playing them, but it just feels like they're just the caricatures of these characters that we know. Like it's just a generic. Someone's taken a board and gone, you were that guy, you were this girl, and you're the pretty girl that's going to have the love interest with, you know, you're fighting to save someone, and that's your story. You're the broody anti-hero with not so much dialogue, but your broodiness in your face is going to say a lot. And then we're going to give you guys 3 sex scenes because that will force people to understand that you guys now care for each other and love each other. It really feels like a forced relationship. At no point did I feel like I was rooting for these characters. So when the shit hits the fan, and it does a few times throughout the film, and when stuff goes wrong, which obviously in a film like this it will do, I didn't care about any of the characters. Even when I got to the end and you had the so-called climactic ending, and it gives you, you know, a very kind of, you can kind of guess what's going to happen. I was like, well, okay, great. I would rather have my 2.5 hours back. I would rather watch Twilight again. Like there are interesting moments, and the the idea of the film is interesting, but I can't say to you guys, yeah, definitely go and check this one out. When I saw the title, and I even saw a little bit of the trailer, I was mildly intrigued because I thought, oh, that's an interesting premise. This could be interesting, but I should know by now, for the most part, the films on Netflix are more miss than hit. There are a few kind of diamonds in the rough, to quote Aladdin. Most of them are kind of on par, just a passable film or below standard. I know I'm being quite harsh with it, but I feel like sometimes I've reached my quota of films that I can handle being bad, and I've seen quite a few this week. And this one I had hopes for with the cast, because there are moments when the cast do shine. There are little moments when I was like, yeah, that's what I want. That what you've done there with your character, it feels like you've been given time just to kind of go a little bit mental with your character, or just bring a bit more nuance to those little bits. But I don't feel like the characters or the actors have been given enough time and space to develop that, which is crazy in a 2-hour movie when you could have cut out so much. There's so many scenes and stuff that they didn't even need to waste the money on. They could have put it elsewhere, maybe kind of editing again, doing another couple of run-throughs to see what they could have got rid of. The best positives I can think of this film is the score is okay, and the prosthetics, makeup, and the gore department with the explosions, that kind of those special effects were good. I thought they were okay. They didn't remind me so much of Michael Bay. They weren't fireworks, but actual explosions. And with the crashes that I mentioned before, those are the good points. But I'm really pulling at straws trying to find the good points about this film. Even putting this in the background might irritate you, because you might be lost or going, wait, didn't we just see the scene? Or are they still going on about that? Or why hasn't the plot moved on? How is this film still carrying on? I don't think I've clocked watched so much in a film in a long time. I don't mind epic films as long as they keep me engaged and they have a reason to be that long. That's what I mean by epic in for this point. Like Return of the King, the extended editions, all those extra scenes I enjoyed.
What's it saying, my precious, my love?
I think the Return of the King, the extended edition, is like 4.5 hours or something, and I still love all the moments of that film.
Take my hand!
Obviously, doing comparisons ridiculous, fantasy action, but I'm just saying at the length of the film, it just felt way too long for an action film. I think had the pace been much quicker, had it been shorter, we would have been able to ignore some of the issues that the film has, like likable characters, half-decent backstories, half-decent dialogue. Any of that, you might have been able to kind of push aside and go, it's just your generic action film, but the pace, and it's over quickly. It's one of those you can forget about, put it in the background, and just enjoy it for what it is. But because it's so long, I struggle to do even that. So I'm going to give this a D. Chat to me in the comments below what you thought about this. Did you like it much more than us? And maybe that's okay. Maybe you found other things to enjoy about this film. I was very disappointed. We've got other reviews coming out this weekend, so I hope you enjoy those. Do check out our others like Alex Rider. Let me know what else you would like me to review. If I haven't reviewed something that's quite recent that you would like me to maybe tackle. Maybe check out our join members. We've got a plethora of different options you can choose from to be a member or not to be a member of different things behind the scenes, gag reels, short films. It's quite a lot of fun in there. Of course, we're still doing all our normal YouTube videos. So thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.